So I thought it might be useful to kind of look at how my experiences with multimodal composition and that literacy that's attached with it has sort of grown since high school. My very first experience with it was in Mrs. Moore's English class, I think my sophomore year, called Reading the Screen, in which we ended up making a horror movie as our final project, in which the serial killer uses a toaster to kill his victims. It was called Burnt Toast. And I remember thinking through that whole process of staging different scenes, getting the lighting correct, figuring out the pacing, the cues, the cuts, all sorts of the dialogue, the audio, all those things, kind of thinking, wow, I'm getting an English credit for this. Um, but really, what we were doing is what authors do in the written form, just in visual and audio. I didn't have too much experience with multimodal composition until college, after that experience in high school. In my literature class, I think it was British literature, where we did actually a multimodal project. In what was a traditionally text-based class, we were composing text still, but not straight analyses. I was writing email communications, blackout poetry, traditional poetry, job postings, blog posts, all kind of combined into one cohesive project, which I remember thinking, this is a literature class. This is very odd to me that we would be doing such what at the time seemed not English skills. Um, so those two kind of events, I suppose, kind of shaped how I approached last year's class with my sophomores that I taught. It was a pretty much text-based class, and it was a curriculum that was at times incredibly vague and at times very specific. But it all centered on the idea of culture and then how a person tends to, or how a person learns who they are, figures out how they fit into the world and what that world is really like. So what you see right now is my attempt at giving the students a little bit of creative leeway in a multimodal composition piece. I think that for students, when they have an actual choice in what they're working with, I think that they are more inclined to show the skills that they've got. So if they were good at poetry, great, write poetry. If they were artistically inclined, great, let's do that. And what came out of it were really good, incredible pieces, but it also kind of highlighted some of the drawbacks, meaning if a student wasn't exactly creatively interested in this piece, it was more of a get it done mentality. It also kind of highlighted some of the limitations of high school. We have 7 class periods, so one of the 7 in my student's day is dedicated to English class. So approaching such a large, creatively diverse project can kind of be difficult when you're a student who's trying to parse their day out into 7 sections. So I think multimodal composition, my literacy of it, it's something that's not new, but I think it's something that I'll continue to explore in the future, both me professionally and creatively, but also for my students.